Hi, and welcome to this video, which is looking at the fourth and final component of energy conservation, and that's the component of positioning. Now, positioning is particularly aimed at those of you who may be suffering from a couple of other symptoms, such as shortness of breath and joint pain. The symptoms you describe, particularly looking at post-COVID long haulers symptoms now, are wide and varied. So here are just a few little practical tips that might help you to continue with everyday activities. So the first thing to think about with positioning is organising your environment. And that means, for example, keeping regularly used items accessible between your shoulder and hip height. Recognising that when you reach above your head or down below your knees, not only does this use excess energy, but it also puts extra strain on painful joints and on the respiratory system. Organising your environment might mean making sure that it's clutter-free, and just be considerate of the fact that when you have to reach over clutter and unnecessary items, it puts more strain on our bodies. If you think about the biomechanics of this, if you pick up an object at arm's length, it puts 15 times more strain on your lower back, for example, than if you hold an object close to your body. So that 2 kilo bag of potatoes or kitchen appliance that you currently keep right at the back of a cupboard will put 30 kilos of pressure through your back when you're bending down to pick that up. So looking at transferring those skills and that knowledge, it might be that thinking about where you store your 2-litre bottle of milk in the fridge, and if you normally put it on the bottom shelf in the fridge door, maybe considering putting it at waist height instead. Another aspect of positioning and organising your environment is ensuring that there's always a seat handy for when you tire. Now, we looked at the importance of sitting down when we were talking about pacing. But once again, with positioning, trying to think about sitting down to carry out activities instead of standing. So maybe when you're preparing food, maybe sitting at the dining room table or a breakfast bar area instead, or sitting down to dry yourself and when you're getting dressed. So some other things to consider with positioning are how you store items in the house. So for example, how do you store piles of towels, bed linen and jumpers? If you think about it, if you're wanting to get a towel from the bottom of a big stack, that's an awful lot of weight you've got to lift up to get the towel or jumper from the bottom of the pack. So consider the effort on your shoulders and the cardio and respiratory systems for moving a row of coat hangers over. So if your wardrobe is tightly packed, to actually get in and get your favourite top out, to push the sideways movement of pushing those coat hangers to one side to access the one coat hanger that you need, that's an awful lot of pressure on your cardiovascular system and your respiratory system. And thinking about, again, things like how you close and open curtains in your home. Are you having to reach over things and close them at arm's length, or can you get really close up to them? So you might need to think about the position of furniture or clutter that's in front of curtains to make sure that you can get that little bit closer, especially if you're getting quite breathless. You'll find it really helps to have a bit of a move things around a bit to make that easier. Another thing to think about is storage of items such as pans or your slow cooker or a pile of plates, often things in the kitchen that can be quite heavy. It's often good to have a seasonal rearrangement of your kitchen or your bedroom, your wardrobes. But in your kitchen, think about things like your slow cooker or and other items that you might only use, well, might use more in the winter rather than during the summer, are they taking up precious space that's easily accessible? So can you get somebody to, or can you move them to the back of the cupboard for the summer and replace them with things that you use more frequently in the summer to make those more accessible? If there's only a couple of you at home, or if you've got a bit of extra space, also things like considering leaving 2 of everything out on the side, 2 bowls, 2 plates, 2 cups, rather than having to keep everything in a cupboard the whole time. Just makes it easier and less effort to just grab a plate when you're wanting to dish up your food. And when you're sitting on furniture, just thinking about ergonomics a little bit. Try and, if you're finding you're getting quite breathless, or those sorts of activities of getting up from items of furniture are difficult, making sure you're sat on a surface which is firmer and has armrests will reduce the energy required when you're standing up. So, another short and sweet. We've gone through all the basic principles of energy conservation now. I'm going to do a couple more short videos just looking at a couple of activities of daily living. We'll look at a practical, as we call them, like a personal activity of daily living, getting showered and dressed, and also looking at a couple of others like returning to work and a domestic chore such as doing the food shopping. And what I want to do now is, now we've gone through those 4 components of energy conservation. We've looked at your planning, your positioning, your prioritising and your pacing. And now what we need to do is put all that together and go, right, common everyday activity. How can we use all that energy conservation information that we've learnt about to make everyday activities as easy as possible for you? So I'll look forward to seeing you for those. Hopefully those will be good and practical for you. All right, till next time.